time of year. The mayors have been talking about the average so much with the burgers that the mayor wants a burger. They change how do you care? 12:30.
There's some on here.
Yeah.
Whatever you want, we thought you were I was just going to sit next to Josh. Yeah, I was just going to give you something.
What did you go when it's
Yeah, I can.
That's what I'm saying. They got
The shop clock, where is it? The clock we bought.
Is it or not? I was 6. Okay.
Oh, he's looking at me, so I'm like.
Are you sure it's in my office?
Wilder's setting it up. Wilder and Zulia.
We took the most care.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's kind of way of it.
Oh, no, I like
And then it gets to a point
This is what I've been doing. Okay. All right. So I'll get you the date.
Hi. No, I'm not dealing with that.
I just sent you a message.
No, copy.
Yeah, but you know what? Because of these rescheduling.
Franklin, I thought we might write that with you.
Sarah?
No, this application.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, well, we got it.
This is my ideal.
At the post office. We get scholarships.
Get getting too comfortable, man. Nice stuff, man.
Block it off.
That's what I was doing.
Block it off.
You find it? No? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's budget meeting. Welcome to our beautiful public hearing. This time, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Turkey.
Present.
Councilman Acosta.
Present.
Councilman Figueroa.
President.
Councilwoman Fonseca.
Present.
Councilman Lozay.
I am present with an explanation. After.
Councilman Rivera. Councilman Solano.
Present.
We have a forum.
Thank you. Will everyone rise to the pledge of allegiance? Thank you, everyone.
provided that I object to the meeting, the agenda. It does not comply with our open meetings and notice of our rules and regulations. I stated this at the last meeting, and I just wish to reiterate it and put it on record again today.
Why? No, I mean, it seems, what exactly was not done?
What was violated? What was violated?
Where was the violation?
The notice of violation is that according to our rules and regulations, notice is received pursuant state law 48 hours, and according to our records prior to that, I did not receive the notice the last meeting and the notice for this meeting. I have received the notice for next week's meeting, put on record, but because we're dealing with a $18.5 million budget, I feel obliged that I do not believe we have followed procedure, and I wanted to put that on record.
The meeting was filed on May 31st with the Secretary of State, so that complies, I
I
believe,
said
with, and
my
for your
notice.
rules,
My
they were
notice.
sent last week as well by emails to everyone in this week, Mr. President. Okay.
I'm going to ask the council this week that move item 4 to now. If there's no objection, I think Rob's here to explain in regards to the high school, and we've got a few students here. So again, I'm asking for a motion to move item 4 to now.
I so moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Rob, you're up. And we all have the application in front of us. Submitted by Stephanie.
Okay, council, so in front of you, you have a park permit. As many of you know, whenever Jenkins Park is used, it has to go in front of the council. The Central Falls High School is going to be having their graduation this Saturday, but they thought it would be great to have sort of a ceremony after the graduation. Tickets are limited in terms of how many family members are allowed to go to Rhode Island College. And so through speaking with some of the advisors at Central Falls High School and serving on a small planning committee, we thought it would be a great idea to have a post-graduation ceremony at Jenkins Park from 4 to 7. And so there would be just a DJ, possibly some refreshments. I know the school department is still trying to put together a small budget for it, but you have the application in front of you, and it should be a fairly quick and fun celebratory event.
Pretty much said it all, right?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to grant the permission for them to do a celebration at the time.
By
Second.
Arnold, second by Councilman. Any figure vote? Good discussion. I don't want to put a damper, but should it rain, you have plenty. Is this available for them, Josh, if it rains?
I believe so. I believe so, because I think they're
I think
we're funding to get a tent, which they
Oh,
have to
okay.
work with the fire department on. Which they have to work with the fire department on anyway, so.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Nay, ayes have it. Best of luck. May the weather be with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Madam Clerk.
Mr. President, we now, the public hearing in consideration of fiscal year 2018 city budget. I will call for the Secretary.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm going to just provide some upfront clues or confirmers. I can do this one.
Yeah, we'll
You
go.
like?
Yeah.
So we have several people, I'm going to call up the people who have signed up to speak, And if you'd like to address any of the ordinances on the budget, you can speak up to 5 minutes, and then I'll just give you a sign as you get close to the 5 minutes so that we have enough time for everyone to speak. And we'll have a little clock here, and I'll be paying attention as well. So, the first person is Tia Restino-Segal.
Good evening, council. Just a question for clarification on that. You're saying 5 minutes total to talk about the entire, or each ordinance?
The entire budget. 5 minutes.
5 minutes
per
for-
speaker.
Okay, for the 18 minutes, I mean, there's quite a bit of information in this
5
budget.
minutes.
What's that, I'm sorry?
5 minutes per speaker.
Per person, yes, so clear.
Mr. Chairman?
Why? Well, I
We have
like,
a speaker up there, Tom.
Yes, but I have a
What's your point
question.
of order?
We usually have, we usually have a public address at the beginning of the meeting. For each of the ordinances, is it my understanding that individuals will not be able to speak when we hear the annual operating budget ordinance? When we go through each of these ordinances, is that going to be open to a public meeting to address
First of all,
those?
it's only first passage tonight,
Yeah. a
not
public
final
hearing.
passage.
so,
The public can speak again on the 19th.
okay, so we'll, so
I-
having been on the council, we had
Yes,
not.
I know you've been.
No, but we had not instituted that before now, so I'm just wondering why.
Why?
Why we're on an 18, on this budget? Why
The
we're not
time,
allowed?
the time limit?
Yes.
We adopted different rules because a lot of the discussion was redundant, to be frank, over the last few months. A lot of discussion was redundant on a lot of things. And we don't care. You've been on the council. We be here all night if we need be. A lot of stuff is redundant. But you're gonna have your time.
Yeah,
This is
that's
only
fine.
first passage.
Yeah, no, that's fine,
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
speak again next time, I'm just asking
Yeah,
because,
that's,
of course, I have a lot of questions.
yeah, I understand. Yep.
I can separate them out, but I don't usually, especially being first, I wouldn't imagine that there's any redundancy. Because who could I be redundant to?
Right. No, but we've had discussion.
With all due respect.
Actually, among the council.
I'm not gonna get close to 5 minutes tonight, because I
Okay.
have some quick
All right.
points, but if I had questions, again, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, no, but I had a question about that anyways, about the framework. One of my last questions was about speaking after each ordinance, so are you gonna break that out or not?
This is the public hearing for all the ordinances.
For all of
Bring them
them?
all at once, collect all the questions
Okay.
of the public, give everyone 5 minutes equal time to ask your questions. We will take note of those, and then the council will address them. So if you'd like to start now.
So, well, I'll keep talking, I'll fall in my 5 minutes, it's not gonna be a problem. So I'd like to say that I think that's very unfair to the public, to not give them the time that they need. I don't need 5 minutes, you know, I'm pretty succinct in what I wanna bring up. But after this meeting, I may have more questions, and you may have given me answers, and I may have more questions next time. So I don't know that the 5 minutes is fair to everybody, and not everybody's gonna use their 5 minutes. That's my point.
Yeah,
And
perhaps.
as a resident, I think, again, as a taxpayer, I think that 5 minutes, holding people to 5 minutes, if everybody is being redundant, I can totally appreciate that, and I respect people's time. I respect your time, absolutely. It's not to harass anybody, you know, so I'll make sure that I put all my questions on paper so that if I run out of time, that you can still answer my questions. All right, so one thing, after looking at the budget, I just would like to point out to everybody that I'm concerned about sustainability of this actual budget. Every year, we end up with we're overtaxing our residents, especially the people who live here and do work in the community. We are the highest equalized tax in the state, in the poorest, and the most economically challenged city in the state. We have had over $1 million surplus every single year in the last 5 years, right up until last year. So to continue to raise the taxes seems ludicrous to me. That's my biggest point. I'd also like to know about unfinished projects. We owe the state another $2.6 million. And last year, the state gave us a gift. We gave ourselves a gift as taxpayers of $600,000. And that, in turn, we paid the 3.2 down to 2.6. So I think that it's important to keep that in mind, that we still owe that 2.6. Just like in our personal finances, we don't actually have that money if we owe it to somebody. So to say we have a surplus when we owe them 2.6 is again not actually true. I'm asking the council to please go back into historical data, since many of you are new, and make sure that you're using audits and actual numbers versus, I saw the actual layout, and it talks about the, whatever the receiver had on the page. That's a made-up number. It's not a number that's pulled by anything, because we don't actually use that number for anything. So you go back to the audits, those are your actual numbers. I also noticed that taxes continue to be raised for the residents, and the businesses are being held, commercial rate is being held. I understand that you're trying to build a business, but you're also, I thought one of the other missions was to raise home ownership in the city. As you continue to do that, you continue to overtax us. There's many of us that are leaving. I would advocate that we perhaps raise the homestead exemption for those people who actually live here and live on their property. That would help us out quite a bit. We really got whacked in bankruptcy. My last point this evening is that last fall, while I was on the council, I asked the then finance director for a breakdown of grants and their disbursements. I was told I would get them in the audit. They don't exist in the audit. So I'm asking that I get them, that the public get them. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
At the board.
At the 168 Notre Dame Street, long time, lifelong resident of the city of Central Falls, involved in the community for a number of years, finance director at one time. So when I look at budgets, I look at them in the same eye I looked at it as a finance director. And we went through some very trying times at that time. Did not declare bankruptcy, but had a $2.8 million deficit at that time, similar to what we had when we went bankrupt, which we should never have done. I look at this budget and I wonder why we're talking about a tax increase at this time, even if it's a 1.5% tax increase. Our budget has gone up from 2015, $1,176,000. $1 million we've gone up. The question is, where is all that money? Where are we spending that money when we're having $1 million surpluses? We're having $1 million surpluses. In my opinion, we don't have a balanced budget when we're putting a budget together. I agree we should have some surplus. I agree we should have a rainy day fund. The question is, how much money are we putting away on the backs of the taxpayers? I alone, my taxes have gone up since bankruptcy, over 100%. Now, I can afford that, but there comes a time when I'm not even going to be able to afford that. But there's a lot of people in the city who can't afford those kind of tax increases. We are now, this is the mayor's budget. This is not the receiver's budget, my understanding. And we should be starting to look realistically at what we can spend and how much we can afford in this city. One of the areas I looked at was the number of people we have. You know, I looked down the list of people, it just seems to grow. And I know we need people to do certain things, but there comes a time of how many people can we put on the staff? You know, and how many people can we give raises to? We have one individual who's in the highway department, who's a director. I don't even know this individual, but he's got a $10,000 increase in his staff in his pay. I don't know what he does. I don't know why we need someone. You know, we've got a very small maintenance crew. We've got about 6 people in code enforcement. You know, what do we need? Another deputy director. We've never had that. We had bigger crews of maintenance people here. Probably 3 times what we've had, and we've had a highway director, and that was it. Supervise everything. You know, we've got, when you look at the budget, in the mayor's budget, there's money set aside for the community services. When you look at the Parks and Recreation, there's money set aside. We've got about $80,000 to $100,000 of money set aside for what? You know, this to me, part of that is a slush fund. I look at the revenue, and I've never seen this when I did budgets or when I've seen other people do budgets, of putting together tax revenue for the current year from the prior year, which we're going to collect. And then we put an emergency reserve fund, and we take away $141,000. So we're already lowering what we're supposed to collect. Those are supposed to be reasonable figures put in here. You know, what's that 141 going to be? That's in the slush fund. You know, when you look at, you just look through the whole budget, there are areas where it can be cut. You're talking about a 1.5% increase. We could have no increase, we could have a tax cut. Last year, we had $1.3 million in surplus. And as Tia said, every year we've had $1 million surpluses. You know, and I know the money's been used, I would assume some money's been left. The question is, where's that money going? Why do we need such big surpluses in our budget? You know, shouldn't we start to get realistic and run the city on what the city can afford for the taxpayers of Central Falls? If we keep going like this, we're trying to get $1 million surpluses, we're not going to have people living in the city. Because not only do the rents go up, property taxes go up, and when that goes up, then the rents go up for the people living here. You're going to start to see that we're not going to be able to afford it. People aren't going to afford it. And that's the shame. The city's a great city. I choose to live here. I always chose to live here. When I bought, I chose to live here. There were a lot of good reasons for me to move to Lincoln or Riverside or Barrington or wherever else you might want to be. But I chose to live in Central Falls because I felt it's a good community, and it's a community that needs people who are willing to help and are willing to be involved. And I have been involved. And I commend you for being involved on this council. It takes a lot of work, but I caution you to know what you're voting on, what you've got in that general budget that you have, what you're spending, why you're spending it, and where can we cut back? We're going to have to cut back somewhere. Can't keep putting people on. You know, we've got some areas where it was one person last year. Now it's 2 people. You know, it's going to be 3 people next year. When do you stop? And how many people do we need to run this city? You know, we've got another person we're putting on. We're putting someone on for $40,000. I'll wrap it up. We're putting someone on for $40,000 in the mayor's office. We've got a chief of staff. We've now got an administrative assistant and a mayor. I never see the mayor. This is the mayor's budget. I don't understand why the mayor isn't here. If he's so sure this is a good budget, why doesn't he come here and talk to the taxpayers of the city and prove to the taxpayers of the city that it's a good budget? Or else please send his finance director to defend the budget and let us be able to ask questions. Just one last thing. I sat in budget hearings and public hearings on the budget till 1 o'clock in the morning over at the high school. We didn't leave until the last person had a question they wanted to ask and that it was answered. That's fair. That's transparency. This is not transparency. Thank you.
I believe our councilman has signed up. Hosea.
Thank you very much, Thomas Isaiah, 1072 Lonsdale Avenue. I'm speaking as a taxpayer. As a taxpayer, I've been asked by many people who are in my district and other locations regarding the budget process. Mr. President, I object to the change of policy of public hearing. I object to the limiting of residents 5 minutes to speak on the budget. The process that has always been followed in the past, Mr. President, is that when we address a budget ordinance or resolution, each of those resolutions or ordinances are up for a public meeting. It's up for the public to comment. By you stopping that is wrong. And I believe a violation of the open meeting and our own rules and regulations regarding the way we operate. We've had 2 budget workshops, and we had most of the department heads here. We still have not heard from the mayor. On those budget workshops, Mr. Chairman, we were given an opportunity to ask one question, then go around the table to ask another question, and sometimes we may have asked 2 questions or 3 questions, but we went around the table 3 times, Mr. Chairman. And as I mentioned then, not enough time to go over the entire budget. I have more questions, and I requested that there be further public hearings with the department heads and the mayor, because he hasn't answered any questions on the budget. At these budget hearings, Mr. President, I've requested certain information. I've received one documentation of 3 years of the budgets. I've met with a couple of department heads requesting information. I have yet to receive any of those materials that I have requested. Now, we are talking of an open and transparent system. This has none, Mr. Chairman. Now, there is, as we mentioned originally, this was originally scheduled to take place as an expedited schedule and have everything passed by, I believe, by next week. That was changed because of, I believe, the improper notice and the violation of our open meetings and our rules regarding its introduction, which delayed everything. There is no rush to get it done, but there is a rush to get it done right. I agree with the speakers that were here earlier that we are sitting on $1,300,000 surplus in last year's budget audit, over $1 million in the year before, and $1 million prior. This current budget, I assume it's over $1 million also. So the increase in our budget to add a 1.5% tax increase, Mr. Chairman, is not necessary. When the items that are in the budget that are in excess far outrange the amount of money that needed for the tax increase. I object as a taxpayer to the increase of 1.5%, but I also object that the increase is only borne by the property owners. It is only a residential property tax increase, which is wrong. This budget that we are working on has more than enough money to take care of our obligations, and it should be looked at a little more closely to cut where we need. And there are many things in this budget that should be cut. I have requested other things as a councilman, and I'm going to continue to request those items that they be made public, and that we have a true public hearing with all the department heads, including the mayor, to answer whatever questions taxpayers may have. It's not it's a necessary procedure in government, Mr. Chairman. It's something that we should allow our taxpayers, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 10, 50, whoever shows wanting to ask questions, they should be allowed to ask questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Paula Vidales. I work at Subway. I came here because I am one mother who always is with her baby and take care of her baby. And we go all the activities, the city that all the time for her. And every time I come here because I really enjoy it, and I am so happy every time I see my baby with a big smile, and when she runs, when she plays, and when she has fun. As a single mother, without car, without money, is a good way for her to spend time. And for me too, because I am really enjoying with her. And she likes the activities here. Right, Stanley? Yeah, that's everything I want to say. I wish we could have more of those activities for everybody. I mean, wish everybody participate active, come here and play, and because I see the effort the city does all the time for the children, but I see also people complaining and doesn't do anything about it. So I wish everybody has active participation. I'm sorry about my English. And I don't know. So I think that's everything I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. You are spot on. Thank you.
Brian Carter.
Good evening, everyone. I am here because I am a person that is, I think, the only one left that used to work for the Ralph J. Holden, well, Channel 1 Ralph J. Holden Community Center. As you look through this budget and make decisions, I urge you to please think about the youth in the city, to think about the positive programs that are going on now. With having no community center, having the summer program at Jenks Park, it means a lot to the families in the communities. All the programs that we offer for the families, it's really important. And we're building community where the children are being exposed to people they would not see. So as someone that can tell you the pain of not having a building for these children to go to, seeing them out of my window in the park in the summer, it's phenomenal seeing them play. The Easter egg hunt, the Halloween party, and even having programming at veteran school in the evening after 6 o'clock. It's great for the kids, so we have a great partnership, prevention, Parks and Rec, and we want to keep it going, and please protect the youth peace. Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe it's Maria Gonzalez.
How are you? Good evening. My name is Maria Gonzalez. I'm here to support our activities here for the summer program. Also for the activities that the programs we're trying to improve Central Falls, Sylvan Street. I heard that we didn't get the budget, but hopefully in the future there's going to be something going on in that street because I live on that street. I've been in that street for almost 7 years, going on 8. I've been in Central Falls for almost 17 years, no, maybe longer, maybe 20 or something. But I've seen a lot of changes here, but we need more. We really do. I'm here with my granddaughters. I've been going to this summer program before with my daughters, and now I have my granddaughters. They're happy when they have activities for Halloween, Christmas. You know, I'm there for them. I also work for the school department, and I see a lot of kids that love to go to all the activities. So I'm here to support them. You want to say a few things? How do you like the program? Tell me you like to come in for lunchtime for the summer? What do you do? Take some. How you want like to go to some lunches? Yeah, the summer lunches, and we come, the activities. How you enjoy them?
I enjoy the summer programs.
What's your favorite part?
The Easter egg hunt. I enjoy the programs here because they help the children to learn during the summer, and they help children to like not watch TV, so like the TV doesn't get like in their head all the time. So we have to be active when the programs are on, all the children are active when we have programs.
How about Christmas? Santa Claus. I like that. Me too. Thank you.
Mr. President, no one else signed up?
Thank you. Then we now close the public hearing, and just a reminder, on the 19th of this month, there will be another public hearing regarding the budget. Hearing is now closed. Council President, if I may.
I would like to make a motion to amend the annual operating budget ordinance with substitute A, which Len will come around handing out to the city council members and also to the members of the audience.
Thank you. We have a motion to amend by Johnson, seconded by Councilor Solano.
Yeah, you want me to speak to it for a second?
Yes, please. Yeah. Let me pass it out now.
Yeah, so I'll wait till. It's three points. Yeah, so we're starting with the general fund. The annual operating budget ordinance general fund.
That's right. There's three separate packets. Yeah.
So, I understand this is an amendment, but why wasn't it introduced before we had the public comment period?
I believe the public does have a copy.
Of the amended one?
Yes, coming out now.
So
Coming
they-
out now.
Yeah, but that's the question. Yeah, we just got it, so how would they have it? I know, but do you understand what that's not transparent.
Yeah, right. What we've been saying, transparency.
You guys understand what I mean?
I understand, I just said I introduced the one I introduced.
You can say it out loud.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just stated that the agenda read public hearing and consideration, and typically in legislative proceedings, the public is invited to speak, so that if there's amendments that the council wants to consider, you have the benefit of hearing from the public what the public wants to amend in the budget.
That doesn't fly.
So
We've already done it before we spoke. You didn't hear us.
So are we gonna have an opportunity as a council now to discuss the budget?
Yeah, hence the amendment.
No, I mean to discuss the public hearing and to discuss the budget as a whole. Are we gonna have an opportunity for us to talk as council? No, about the entire thing, the entire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, we have to vote on those pieces anyway, during which time we would discuss.
When I asked offline, the answer was no.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with Councilwoman Fonseca. I had no idea that substitute A. I don't believe any one of the council has reviewed this. I don't believe.
I have, which is why I introduced it. And if you guys would, you guys all interrupted me. What do you mean, you're talking? That was my point, to explain what was here.
I asked
and
the
you
council
guys were all.
president to address. I understand that. I asked, while everyone was talking, I asked the city
Mr.
council
Legere,
president.
Councilman Costa has the floor.
Okay.
He's going to explain it
When
to you.
he's done, I'll,
As usual, you're jumping ahead. You're putting a copy for the whole.
Can we get a copy?
The copies are left on the table.
Oh, gee, thanks a lot, Leslie.
Well, I was trying to answer the council's question. So council, what submitted in front of you was introduced, was based on feedback we've heard in the public hearings and the council discussion. The amended budget as a decrease of
The workshops.
from the workshops and public meeting. So the budget has a decrease of 0.3%, the tax increase is 1.2. The residential rate is down 11 cents to 26.31. As you can see in the annual operating budget ordinance general fund, cross out on page 1, section 2. The decrease in the budget, as shown on page 7, it's about a $40,000 decrease. Groups that were impacted show on page 7 as crossouts with the new number underlined. Tax levy decrease from 18,473, 236 to 18,433, 823. On page 8, on top of page 8, it shows the revenue decrease of the tax levy. You can see the cross out of the new number and the new variance. As shown in the tax revenue and the emergency reserve fund line item. The total tax, again, down by that 40 grand, 14,842,567. This results in a submitted budget, as shown on page 7, of 18,433,823. I will walk you through the changes that were made. As you start on page 10, starting with the fund appropriations, $2,000 was removed from the original budget of community outreach and the mayor's budget, the mayor's department, executive budget. From 20,000 to 18,000, resulting in a new department line item of 313,397 and 315,397. The next change is in border canvases. The proposed budget was $21,730. The amended number is $5,000. Reduction of $14,500. It's on page 11, on top. On page 12, the finance group, $2,000 was removed from the accounting and auditing line. Last year's number of $68,000, resulting in a zero variance from last year. New total is $541,016, showing that $2,000 decrease in the finance group. Page 13, IT consulting services in the city property department was reduced $4 grand from 54 to 50,000, resulting in a variance of 29,600 from last year. Total for that department went from 10,76,207 to 1,072,207. Page 14, police department. Community policing was reduced $5,000 from 20,000 to 15. And on page 15 also, page 16, also police, college tuition moved from 30,000 to 23,17. And the new total for police of $4,029,233.
where is that?
Page 16 on top, sorry. I'll slow down, I'm sorry. So on 14, there was community policing reduction in police. And then page 16 in police also, college tuition was reduced. I believe that is the total of the changes resulting in appropriation reduction from 18,473, 235 to 18,433, 823. I represented 11 cent reduction in the residential rate guys. Would you like me to go to the other ordinances or should I? Oh, wait,
For board canvassers, how does that drop from 21,000 to 5,000 to not this year, but next year?
So in our workshop, it was noted that with the election year happening after, but with all the changes that are going on in terms of the election rules that the state is proposing, we wanted to leave a little money in there for end of 18 stuff, that the city, the canvass's office will have to educate the public on. So that's what I was doing.
Do we have that, Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman, seeing that we just received this and there are changes to most of the departments, as I requested in the past, I request that the city council hold new budget workshops to allow the council to address all the questions that they may have. I would also recommend that we allow public discussion on the new amended budget. I'm a little disturbed, Mr. Chairman, that this is being submitted to them. We did not receive it prior to the meeting, and we are being supplied with it tonight. With giving us hardly any time to really review the changes in the impact on the budget that it has, not just on the annual operating budget, but the other ordinances. We need more workshops with department heads to ask questions. I appreciate the administration listening to the council and addressing the concerns we had at the last couple of meetings, workshops. I think more can be done. I think the 11% drop in the budget is a pittance to what can be done by the council. I would ask that we defer acting on this and that we hold a public meeting to a workshop to go over this.
So first off, related to this and other things, I want to say we can't choose when we follow the protocol. It can't be when it's convenient for us, which is why I'm timing myself. Okay, according to all rules, you can make an amendment at any time. So you may not like it, but that doesn't matter. All right? Now, one of the biggest concerns with the increase in taxes this addresses that concern. One of the other concerns was overestimating parts of the budget which have been addressed. I don't need a public audience in order to lobby for my constituents. I don't need a public audience in order to address the mayor. So if I have a problem with the budget, and I've talked to the mayor about it, or I've talked to the department heads about it, this budget reflects some of those changes. And so let's discuss those changes, and I open it up to everybody here to address their concerns. But there is no reason why we need to be doing everything and not taking full advantage of the people that we have at our disposal. I had a problem with the budget, I hollered at the mayor. If you have a problem with the budget, do so. And if you want to bring it up at the public hearing, when we're on the record, then do that. But let's not keep wasting each other's time. Thank you.
So I understand that this addresses the workshops that we had, but one of the biggest concerns I think that came from every single counselor was the tax increase, and it's still a tax increase. So I think that's number one. If you want to address any other issues, it's addressing that 1%, even if it's 1.2, it's still an increase to our tax dollars. And the counselors here have suggested ways to do that, specific ways to do that in the council. So for me, we're the city council, we're supposed to be approving the budget and going through all these workshops, and I feel like we don't have the input to do that. And if a counselor is telling you, save that $200,000 from the $2 million ordinance that was created as a rainy day fund, then why not listen to that? So, and then for the police department to cut the community service unit, the only unit in the police department that actually is out in the community, doing that work, building the relationship, I think that's a horrible cut to me.
My understanding is that the difference will be made up in the grant. They received the money today, and we learned that we're going to get coverage of that. That's why that was fixed there.
Right, and if the grant will cover that, we don't have that information, and just like the former councilwoman had mentioned, I've been asking for grant reports since 2015, and I still have not one grant report. As a city council member, I don't have no grant reports for the last 2 years. And I think that's an issue. When we're approving these budgets and we're looking through every single department, if a department is getting more grants than we're funding them, then we need to know that. And I feel like that's a problem with transparency, that councilors are not aware of the grants. I've asked for quarterly reports on grants to numerous people in City Hall, and I have gotten zero response. It's coming, it's always coming.
We have a system deficiency with grants, Councilman, and we are trying to work that. We were forced with the soft. Well, we are attempting to look at the module that the receiver forced on us in terms of our software package, and then we want to restructure that for fire module from the company that we have now with our operating system. You realize that the Derek our grand writing is a lot more effective than our systems already are. City Solicitor? Sorry.
I just wanted to add that I have knowledge that Representative Shelby Maldonado did apply for it today, received $5,000 check for the CFPB, which anyone else? So we have before the amendment?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, at the budget workshops, we requested certain information.
I'd rather stick to this amendment right now. We had an amendment before.
Regarding the entire amendment, it goes back to the dollars and cents that the amendment represents, Mr. Chairman. If we don't have the documents on the original budget, we still have not received any documents on the substitute A, Mr. Chairman. And as Mr. Morgana stated at the budget hearing on the first budget hearing and the second budget hearing with Josh, that tell us what you want and we will provide you. I have, at that meeting, requested certain documentations. I received one package of 3 years' budgets comparisons, all separate, but it's better than nothing. I requested certain other information to review the budget, the annual operating budget, which is either A or the B. To discuss B, well, the substitute, we still don't have the information on the original budget. And I request that information that all the council requested be provided at a meeting prior to the meeting so we could review it, so we could disseminate it, go over the changes, and maybe look into it and be able to suggest other changes that could reduce the budget to a point where there is no tax increase, Mr. Chair. That's my intent. And I have left messages for the mayor to appear at the meeting. I requested other department heads to come to the meeting to let... At the
Tom,
last meeting, I requested the mayor appear, if you don't
Tom,
remember.
you're getting off track as far as the amendment that's before us.
The amendment itself, because it was submitted, I would like personal time to review it before we even act on it, to find out,
Councilman,
What's going on?
there's five changes.
yes.
I don't.
And the changes, if you listen, Tom, if you listen,
There's
the
five changes.
changes were based on the workshops.
Yeah,
And some, in
I'm
fact,
glad
one
for
of your concerns, Mr. Lazier,
Yes.
was the board of canvassers, the elections.
There's
It
no
was
need for that
changed.
money in there. I
It was
agree.
changed. So,
There is
so
some
what
good
what you're
things.
driving at, and first of all, or secondly of all, this is not the end. We're going to meet as a council. We're going to meet again in our own workshop. Well, that's correct.
Another, a public, a workshop.
Yeah, but the agenda, that's
A
not,
workshop,
that's
I
not our
request.
agenda. To have a discussion.
You're not allowing, Mr. Chairman, even the public to ask.
The necessary changes are there. In fact, again, I had talked to you, you made it's there.
But there are more changes to be made.
Councilman,
We need at a
This is
public meeting
first passage.
or at a workshop.
We're trying to amend an ordinance. That's all we're doing.
Every year that I've been here, we've had to submit a substitute for one reason or the other. Usually like this, it's because of the rate going down from the mayor's speech or introduction until the reading tonight. Every year I've been here. The substitute is usually introduced in a legal way, as given direction from the city solicitor, and it's always been acted on that night in the format it's supposed to be acted on. Like I said, there's five changes.
Thank you.
I also, I have expressed my concern about the tax increase as well, as a city council and as a president of the city. And I appreciate the effort to the changes that they are doing right now. I would like to ask Lynn Morgani about those changes that have been made here. Do we have any changes in the rainy fund? Reflected in here?
I'm sorry, what fund? The rainy day? No.
We don't have any.
No.
So probably there's some more that we can do to.
We are not using the rainy day fund to cover annual operating.
Well, we don't have to approve the budget either. If we don't approve the budget, it goes back to mayor.
We can discuss it, because I understand that, I mean, everything changes, life changes, everything get increased. We got a debt to pay in the 2020. And whether I'm not agree to tax increases, we gotta look all the options that we have to do the best we possibly can to maintain the level of tax or to comply with the compromise that we have. So we have to discuss about, we gotta get to the happy ending for all of us and for the residents as well.
So, just on the second go around here, I think I understand where my fellow council folks come from and the concerns about a tax increase. Right now, we're talking about an amendment that would be lower than the current budget ordinance. Before we can discuss our budget ordinance, we have to decide whether we would want to go with this amendment or not. One thing that I would urge all the council folks to do is stop speaking just in broad strokes of increase or decrease or stagnant, because that doesn't really get at the brass tacks of, well, what is it that you care about in the budget? All it does is make it seem pretty simple-minded, as all we care about is whether it's going up or down, right? And so as we voice concerns about what bothers us about the budget or what doesn't, let's please, I would urge everyone to be specific, so that we're not, and we were, I think in some cases during the budget workshop, which is reflected in some of the changes in this amendment. But I slowly see us slipping back into very kind of basic conversation.
Anyone else? We have a motion to amend on the floor.
And then we'll come back.
We have more than one amendment. Yeah, three.
Motion to amend.
Second. Motion and a second. Motion by Councilman Rivera, second by Councilman Solano, and Councilman Acosta. Roll call vote.
Councilman Terry?
Yes.
Councilman Acosta?
Yes.
Councilman Figueroa? Sorry, Councilman Figueroa. Councilman Fonseca? Yes. Councilman Rivera? Yes. Councilman Lopez?
President.
Councilman Solano?
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. President.
And now we have to vote on the actual
Now
ordinance.
we have to go on the order.
So now let's talk about the
I would ask the city clerk to read the heading on the ordinance.
Annual operating budget ordinance, general fund. Substitute A.
Yes, looking for motion to approve.
Motion to approve first reading of the annual operating budget ordinance substitute A.
Have a motion by Councilman Acosta, second by Councilman Figueroa. Under discussion. Councilwoman.
So I wasn't here for the last workshop, so I'm wondering if the city clerk, Parks and Rec director, and planning director are available for questions.
No, as I had mentioned to you, they would not be, but if you have questions, I would be put back and send them to the commission to you, whether it's a meeting, email, whatever.
If I give you the questions, can you provide it to all of us on June 12th meeting, council meeting?
If you provide the questions, if you have budget related, of course.
Okay. So I will email. I have questions about the website for residents. I'm wondering if there's going to be an update to the website, particularly, and then for city council liaison. In your packets on Monday, Roger Williams did a report on the council and communication with the city, and one of their recommendations was to get a city council liaison. So I wanted to know if that's going to be included in the budget, and if not, how it's going to work. Then also, in terms of training and onboarding of the council, there's no mention of that in the budget or money set aside for that. Also, in the clerk's office, there was a capital improvement of $25,000, so I wanted to know what that's going for. For Parks and Recs, I want a report of the grants. And I had asked for the breakdown of activities, which was provided for us, I believe, last meeting, but I still have follow-up questions for that. Because it was like 90,000 and the increase was only 40,000, so.
Yeah,
I wanted to know in terms of programming, since we are in Parks and Rec, if we documented over the years the progress of programming in the city, if we keep any record of that, because we are asking for a budget increase, I would assume that there's, legit stuff to support that. And also capital improvement fund, there was 20,000, which was included. I wanted to know what that was for. And then for planning, something that I've been pushing for 2 years now is a comprehensive plan. And we have a principal planner whose primary job, only job, is to come up with a comprehensive plan, and that has not been done. So I wanted to know what the turnaround is. If we keep putting $100,000 for a comp plan in the budget and it's not getting done, what's happening with that money, and why should we budget for it this year if for the past 2 years it hasn't been done? And also for planning, a report of the grants as well. We also have someone in the planning department who does workforce development. I haven't seen much of that this past fiscal year, 16-17, so I want to know what's being done with workforce development, the job center that was supposed to be created that never happened, the job center. And then small business work, I know we're doing work with small businesses, where is that reflected in the planning department's budget? And also, there's a capital projects, $571,000 for planning. I want to know what that's going to be used for. And there's a business outreach person, so I don't know in terms of the website if that's housed on with planning under the business outreach. person or if it's a city clerk issue. So wherever that website question needs to be referred to. And then I also want to see if we've done any work regarding like a community survey that we can maybe budget into the 17-18 budget. Because I don't think we've had, or if that's a part of the comprehensive plan is to do a community survey. Because I don't think we've done one in, I don't know, probably years.
Sure, as long as you, I might just ask a little bit more about what type of community survey, but aside from that, those are reasonable questions that can be answered.
Thank you.
Please call the
Mr.
vote.
Chairman, I'll need to address the entire budget, Mr. Chairman.
One ordinance. This is one
The
ordinance
annual
that we
operating
just amended.
Well, the whole packet.
The whole package. I would have to go back to my questions from the past, but I still have not been answered. It's contained that ordinance. Mr. Chairman, for the record, I would request that any comments made at this meeting be included in the minutes. Comments made by the public, comments made by the council, be part of the record. Mr. Chairman, well, Len, as I requested in the past, and other people have requested a 5-year projection. We used on the slideshow, Mr. Silver's here. Here we have a breakdown of the 5-year projection of capital fund. I received inside here capital expenditures, but no breakdown. Requested a breakdown of that. Also, I did receive the audited line items, thank you very much. Can we get a 6-year audited budget surpluses?
Try to stick to this particular ordinance.
That's all part of the budget, Mr. Chairman. The property tax rates, we've increased. Your projection for this increase is being reduced from 2642 to 2631, but no other changes to the commercial, industrial, tangible order. Is that correct?
That's correct.
In the budget, you had no projections for revenue for the detention facility. Has that changed, or do you foresee any other revenue coming in?
I reviewed the changes and sent it today, Councilman.
Has there been changes to it?
I did not mention the detention center there.
Just about 12
No.
hours? Were there any changes, or do you foresee any other changes to the city retiree funding for benefits and also pension? Could you tell me what's in there now, or do you see any changes to that?
As there were no changes in substitute, I don't see any changes from what was originally submitted in the budget.
And originally submitted was strictly 100,000?
I'm sorry,
That's what I'm asking. Was it the 100,000 for fire and police each?
there's multiple parts. There's the pay-go amount for the retirees. There's the city portion of what we pay.
Has there been any increases in those?
No.
And that is at a what?
I'm going to put the meeting up again. Absolutely. Go back on present. So our next item is the capital program and capital budget ordinances. Now that that was voted on. No, we don't need to vote as
Vote
amended.
on the amendment.
On the
The
amendment.
amendment, the third and final
Correct.
amendment, I believe.
No motion to approve as amended for the, so we.
So I submit a motion to approve the ordinance amending the wage schedule generally as amended.
We have a motion by Councilman Pataki, is there a second? Second. By Councilman Solano. Any discussion? Did Len leave? Is he on?
No, he's in
Discussion for,
We have an
We
amendment.
voted on the amendment, we just didn't vote on the ordinance as amended.
Okay. You don't really need amendment, I think we're all set. I think we're all set. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilman Terry?
Yes.
Councilman Acosta?
Yes?
Councilman Figueroa?
Yes.
Councilman Fonseca? Yes. Councilman Zaire?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera? Councilman Solano? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Right, now we move on to the capital program and capital budget ordinance.
So there's no amendment on that.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question, I have a request. This is the same request that was submitted during the budget process. A breakdown on each of the departments and a breakdown of their request, what each of the figures represents.
And just as a point to that, I've asked the finance director for that before she left, months before she left. I asked for the breakdown of capital improvement, and that was not done. On the record, I asked for it.
So during the budget workshops, capital was one of the areas that was discussed with almost every department. I'd be happy to go ahead and answer some of the questions if you have them. But this was already discussed during the budget workshops. Yes, it was.
Mr. Council President,
Yes, sir.
could we, I don't know if he left,
Yeah.
could let the Len come back and then
Sure.
if that be the case, then give us a walkthrough of each one of the department's capital projects or objectives that they plan to accomplish.
Mr. Chairman, I disagree with Josh that we were not provided with any listing of the departmental breakdown of any of the capital program accounts. Only the amounts, but no breakdown. And I request that it be submitted to us. And I request also, Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we table it for all the department heads to appear at the next meeting so we can ask questions on this.
I think.
I second the motion.
I think Len should speak on this first.
Councilors,
I have a motion
please,
on the floor, Mr. Chairman.
There's a motion on the floor.
please let me remind you that this is what the budget workshops were for. I told you during each budget workshop, turn to page blank, turn to page blank. These are the budgets for these directors. You asked about the fire department, what the capital was for. We told you there were truck payments. We've gone through this, and if you want to watch the video, we can flip the video, we can flip the minutes. We've had this conversation. I don't really understand why we go and start from the beginning all over again.
So point of order, there is a motion on the
Correct.
floor. I
And
think
a
we are
second.
in the discussion time, so
That's
can
correct.
I go back under discussion to my request that they address these before we vote so that I can make
That's
an
correct.
informed vote myself.
And that's why we call for Len
Sure.
and Josh. Well, either one or both. I think there's a question regarding the capital program and capital budget ordinance. Under discussion.
So,
Sure, if you want us to just run through, we can.
yeah, so
run through.
I wasn't here for Parks and Recs, planning and clerk, so I have no idea what they're using that money for. Just as a
Sure,
FYI.
I'll go ahead and start with those. So city clerk, we have $25,000. That is to supplement the grant that we received to fix the outside of City Hall. We received a grant from Rhode Island Historic Preservation Society, I believe is the official term, for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and there needed to be a match for that. So there's work, the woodwork outside of City Hall that is paying for that. Parks and Rec, $20,000, we get approximately $20,000 every year. This year, they want, through conversations with Parks and Rec, they would like to use that on lighting for Howden and or Higginson, outdoor lighting. So capital purchase would be for lighting. Planning department, we had discussed at the budget workshop, the breakdown would be for to finish the parks. There are several parks that are out there that need to be completed or are very close to completion. There is an investment in the comp plan. There is.
Can you break that down, please?
I do not have these numbers right here, but Peter had the numbers when he presented.
Could we have that for Monday, those 3 departments? Or can I have documentation that shows those breakdowns? Because even though I was not at the meeting, I still should have received all the
But I do want to make it
information.
clear that during the budget workshop, that question was presented and it was answered more thoroughly than by Peter, than we had the time with those breakdowns. So, those are the 3.
So in terms of city clerk, maybe you can answer this. So that's solely going to city property, nothing to update the website?
That would not be under,
So is there funds in the budget too,
I think,
the website?
so we have a platform called Nation Builder that has a variety of themes. We have a theme that we've been using for probably 3 years, 2.5 years. That can be customized. So I'm not sure if we need to purchase a whole new system, a whole new website, but rather go ahead and investigate the different layouts that they have available that might be more customer friendly. I do want to also mention that our planning department has already been doing that. I know Wilder, Mark, and some others have been meeting regularly to sort of make the website more customer friendly, and I do know that an overhaul has been requested sort of by various people, including the council, and so I think it's something that we can do without investing thousands of dollars into.
So for Monday, I'd just like a breakdown of all this, because I've honestly been asking for this breakdown for the last year for capital improvement. I've been asking for the last year. Like, as, when we get this on a monthly basis or quarterly basis, for it to be broken down and to track. I literally did a whole worksheet with the former finance director to be broken down what's spent as currently fiscal year, just how the budget's broken down
Sure.
for the capital improvement. And I haven't seen that.
So you had questions about the specifics that were included under these capital purchases. I gave you the general view without the actual numbers. Those numbers can be provided to you. I would ask that we not restart this whole process. You will have another opportunity to vote on this if you are not satisfied with whatever answer you're presented with. You can obviously vote it down if you are not satisfied. I would ask you not to start from the beginning after we've already had several hours of deliberation over each of these line items.
And I would also ask that the city provides documentation so that we don't have to keep going backwards.
That's
To
what
be
you asked
fair,
for, that's
to
what I
be
said.
fair, yes, for Monday.
On all the departments.
So
And all the accounts.
I
I am not providing all the departments and all the accounts. I will provide all of the capital expenditures, but I'm not going to
Yeah,
go
capital.
every
That's what
single.
capital. Capital.
Yes, I'm
All the
sorry.
capital.
I thought you were referring to, as you have done previously, every line item in every account in every department.
I didn't get to that.
Is that actually passed?
Okay, I'm going to ask Councilman Nazir to repeat the motion. I think Sonia had stepped out briefly. Sonia, did you get the motion in a second?
My motion was to table to the next council meeting.
I got it, thank you.
Okay, and you had a second by Councilman Fonseca. Any further discussion?
Just one last point. The reason I'm not trying to be difficult in like this whole breakdown, but like
One thing that we had budgeted in planning last year was the Main Street Development Project, $100,000.
Yes.
And I think if you look at our monthly receipts for capital improvement, probably only 25 to 50 of that, if that, was spent. So it's like, we need to know as counselors where this money is going. If it's not, if we're saying we're doing capital improvement project on something, we need to know that the money is being spent, or if it's not being spent,
Yes.
and why not?
Understood. And those are the appropriate questions to be asked. And we'll provide you those answers. There is no money in this budget for the facade improvement program. So I know that was brought up, and there's no money allocated to the Main Street facade program because there's already money that still needs to be spent.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, my intention is only, we're talking of $1.2 million of taxpayer money. We should know where we intend to spend it because it relates back to the line items or the departments in the budget.
Councilman Leggero, you were at both of the
Excuse me,
workshops?
excuse me. This is our discussion.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Okay, you don't interrupt. Thank you. $1.2 million is, we should understand fully where that money is. We should understand what department are requesting what, because if they're requesting a truck in this department, then we don't have to allocate it for that year in that department. These are all interrelated. This is something that I've requested in the past. I've requested a number of times. I know Councilwoman Fonseca. All we're looking is to get the information. I'm not against it, but I want to know where the money's going. Because if we cut $1.2 million, we're cutting the tax rate also. We're reducing the amount of revenue coming in. This is what we're saying in 2018, that we're going to fund $1,200,275 extra to take care of these projects. So we got to be very sure what we're spending our money on. And if it's something that can be delayed, or something that could be deferred, then fine. But we need to understand the whole budget, and this is a big part of the budget also. So,
Council President, if I
Yes.
may. Councilman Leggero, were you not at both of the budget workshops that we
yes,
held?
I was.
Did
And you
you not
didn't fully answer.
Did you not have an opportunity to ask whatever
No.
questions you wanted?
No,
Yes, you did.
no. I had an opportunity to ask 1, 2, 3, 4 questions totally of the evening, but I had more questions.
And
I requested additional meetings to ask those questions. I've requested documentation from your department and the other departments to submit it. If I didn't get the documentation, I'm asking for it. That's what I'm doing.
Okay,
We still have follow-up questions from that discussion.
I'll also just say, from a less kind of, down talking perspective, I think it allows us to be able to celebrate and be cheerleaders for the city when we know what specific projects are coming up and when we can speak to our constituents about this. So really, at least personally for me, that's what it's about. So I'd appreciate that for next week, and I thank you.
Understood, and we allocate this money because we know this is going to benefit Central Falls. We will answer whatever questions you may have. I spoke to many of you, asking you if you had additional questions from any of the directors that went unanswered. And many of you that I had spoke to along the way had told me no. And then so to hear that there are tons of questions that are unanswered, I would urge you, if you have questions, not to just wait till the city council meeting. All of you have my cell phone number. I reach out to you constantly, or speak to you I speak to you often at least, and you can always ask any questions, rather than just save them for the council meeting and then say that you have a ton of unanswered questions that haven't been answered.
Yeah, I just, under discussion, I just want to say this, just a reminder, this is only first passage. That's all I can say. Roll call vote. Yes.
Councilman Perry?
No.
Councilman Acosta?
No.
Councilman Figueroa? Councilman Fonseca?
We're gonna get the drink on Monday.
I will send you a breakdown.
Yes.
No.
Councilman Lozada?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera? Councilman Solano?
No.
Motion passes. President?
Next time.
So, I'll interrupt.
Motion to approve the first reading of the capital program and capital budget ordinance.
We have a motion by Councilman Gus, second by Councilwoman Seega. Under discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to amend.
We have a motion to amend. Do we have a second?
Vote.
What do you amend the whole?
I am
The whole
amending the
entire-
entire budget, because
I
the
thought that.
capital program budget, since we have not received the information until next week, I cannot vote on it. I'm amending it until we can vote on it.
What is your amendment?
I am amending it to $500,000 total, bottom line.
500,000 from a 1 reading to one?
Correct. And it can be amended, it can be amended once verification documentation is provided.
We have a motion by Councilman Lozada. Did everyone understand his motion to amend? Could you just capsule it quickly?
I move to amend the capital program and capital budget ordinance to reduce the allocation to $500,000 due to the fact that documentation on line items are not provided, and until it's provided, it's amended to $500,000.
Do we have a second? Hearing none, seeing none, the motion dies. Back to the ordinance itself. Any further discussion?
We already.
Well, no, that was under discussion, talking about an amendment. So anyone else? Hearing none, seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilman Terry?
Yes.
Councilman Acosta?
Yes.
Councilman Figueroa?
Yes.
Councilman Fonseca?
Yeah, spending, we got the information on it.
Councilman Lozada?
No.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Councilman Solano?
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. President.
Thank you. Next item.
An ordinance creating the Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2017.
We have a motion.
Motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance creating the Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2017.
Motion by Councilman Castro, second by Councilman Solano, under discussion.
Yes, can we get a breakdown, Mr. Chairman?
Page 28 of the budget. There's no, it's not there.
Oh, I got it wrong.
What area specifically?
Presently, this is the Fiscal Responsibility Act that's presently in force. This is amending it, from my understanding. It's just creating a whole new one.
Councilman Lozada, this is a act that was introduced, and this is the first reading. There are two sections of the City Code of Ordinances, 2-328 and 2-330. The first was the Restricted Operating Surplus Cash Reserve Fund, which is being amended into what's now going to be called the Reserve Fund, and 2-3-30, the Emergency Equipment Replacement Reserve Fund is now to be called the Capital Improvement Fund. The purpose of this ordinance is to reflect the creation of two funds, a Reserve Fund and a Capital Improvement Fund. The Reserve Fund, i.e. the rainy day fund the council discussed, and the Capital Improvement Fund, which was just discussed prior to this.
First, Mr. Chairman, I wish to amend the section B, 2-328, 328B from 5 members of the city council to 6, a super majority.
We have an amendment by Mr. Lazier to reduce the supermajority to 5, is that correct?
No,
From 5 to 6.
If we're expending any funds of this nature, Mr. Chairman, I only feel that 6 members should be voting in the affirmative on this.
Is there a second? Hearing none, seeing none, motion dies, the amendment dies.
Mr. Chairman, I wish to amend section 2-330, capital improvement fund. The amount that is requested of $250,000 maintain a balance in this fund. May I ask the AFO, what is our present balance in that fund?
Zero, this ordinance change creates it.
What is our present balance in the capital fund?
The capital improvement fund as created by the bankers plan is about 2.8 million remaining.
2.8 million.
About.
And what happens to that fund if this is created?
That fund is, the codification of that fund dies June 30th. This ordinance change is required to have a placeholder for capital improvements as the charter dictates.
So we are creating another fund. We are establishing a new fund.
No, the ordinance is a change. City solicitor, please.
Sure.
Help me.
When the bankruptcy plan terminates midnight on June 30th, the capital plan that the bankruptcy plan created terminates with it. This ordinance will ensure the capital fund lives on.
All right, the $2.8 million that is already in that fund, if we are establishing a new fund, creating a fiscal responsibility fund of $250,000, what is the remaining funds from the capital program fund going?
This ordinance creates a minimum balance of $250,000. That's all it does. Doesn't appropriate money. It just says the fund shall have a minimum balance, so the city always has money in the bank account to pay for capital expenditures.
What's your amendment, Mr. Lazier?
And I'm concerned that the relationship of the bankruptcy funds and
That's
how
your
it's going
reason,
to
but
relate.
what's your actual amendment?
Until we can determine what is going on and how we are going to relate the interchange of those funds with the new funds, I would recommend that we review this and study it further to determine exactly how we want to utilize our city capital funds, the $2.8 million that is going to be there. If we're establishing this fund, that is a good possibility, but we are still looking at over $2.6 million or so, 2.45 of what we're going to do. So this is one discussion, Mr. Chairman. I think we need to discuss this further. So I attempted to defer it, to table it, but I would reduce the fund. I'm not even sure because this is a discussion we should have later. So I am hesitant to act on it because I think we need to discuss this financially further.
So you have no amendment?
I have an amendment to
More of a discussion, it's okay.
to
Yeah, go
discuss.
ahead, yeah, that's fine, but you originally said you had an amendment, I just wanted to know the title of the amendment, or what you wanted to actually amend.
That's why
You're
I'm-
basically looking for a review or a table.
I'm looking to, everything that we do, members of the council, are interrelated with funds and with our actions. We got $2.8 million, and there is another a substantial amount of money in the capital. So we are sitting on the taxpayers' money of $2.8 million. This will establish a new fund as of July. Is this the only proper way of handling this? I don't know. We need more discussions with the AFO so that we feel more comfortable at doing this.
I think that was cleared up by both the AFO and the city solicitor, the reasoning behind it. Very simple.
I think it's great. In my understanding, we're literally just moving the money. And if we want to have a discussion about what to do with that money, I think that's probably still a separate discussion than creating an account to put the money in, which it seems like is what this ordinance does. That said, I know people on the council are concerned about how reporting is done. And so as I look at, section 2-328C, I think that's a place where we can be specific about, if money is used from the reserve fund, how we want it reported to us. So I just put that on the table to you guys, being that we've expressed concerns about transparency and how things are reported, like if we want to flesh that out as a council, if we want to talk about, even seeing receipts at this point, so whatever it is that we feel would increase the transparency in section C, I think that might be something that we could include as an amendment. But I put that out to you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are creating another fund, but we also have the annual capital program and the capital program budget ordinance, which we plan 3 years in advance. So the question, these are all interrelated. Is this the best? I don't know, but I think we need to discuss it further, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Solicitor.
I just wanted to follow up on Councilman Acosta's statement that, yes, this creates the fund that those monies sit in before they're spent. It creates the bank account. And to follow up, and I just realized that maybe I had a drafting error, that Councilman Fonseca had requested further detail on the capital expenditures. You could amend this ordinance to add the language in section C to the capital fund so that you also got a monthly reporting on the capital fund.
To you guys.
So
Anybody else?
All the councilors here.
I amended to include,
Well, that would have to be for the other one, though. So I think what the
Correct.
solicitor was stating is next week when we revisit the capital. No, it would be adding it to this?
To section C, you would make a motion to add section C to 2330 to say the finance director shall make a monthly accounting to the city council on the status of the fund.
I so amend, Mr. Chairman.
State your amendment.
Yes, second.
We have.
No, he's saying state your
State your
amendment. I'm gonna
amendment.
make it a second. I
You,
just,
you keep changing your mind and you say it.
I hereby
What he
amend-
said, I want to amend it to.
I hereby amend section, ordinance creating the Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2017, section 2-330, capital improvement fund, section, it'll be C, the finance director shall make a monthly accounting to the city council, as the city council may determine on the status of the fund.
second.
Have a motion by Councilman Viz, second by Councilman Acosta. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Councilman Burt?
Yes.
Councilman Acosta?
Yes.
Councilman Figueroa?
Yes.
Councilman Fonseca?
Yes.
Councilman Rosero?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Councilman Shalala?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Now we're back to the original ordinance.
That's correct.
Can I ask a question? of the solicitor?
Sure.
Maybe this is for the finance director. What would happen, and since we're looking at this ordinance, what would happen if we didn't create this fund to that $2.8 million on July 1st, 2017?
Goes into the cap.
In the current form of those two ordinances, I would have nowhere to park the money that was established in the bankruptcy plan, capital improvement fund. They have limitations in those ordinances where I requested those changes to the solicitor based on the end of the bankruptcy. I need to put that money somewhere in the accounting system. So I have to, those two ordinances address that, but there was limitations, and that's why the language request change.
Can you speak to some of those? Can you elaborate on what the limitations are?
I believe one was I'm not recalling, I believe one was the limit of how much money you put in. And then the other one was the council majority approving out of that. Obviously, that was important to the limitation of the mayor for the rainy day fund. And the capital improvement fund, obviously, is essentially a continuation of what the bankruptcy started. That one with the 250 minimum is a continuation of that, but it codifies it in the charter and the ordinances.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Lozere.
if I can ask Lenny,
Can I ask a favor? Could I be addressed as Leonard or Len? I really dislike Lenny. It's 50 years.
okay,
Sorry. No offense to you. A lot of people
Leonard,
are just tired.
Leonard,
Leonard.
I keep forgetting the acronym AFOA.
Yeah.
That's why I use that.
Yeah, no, I know. Sorry.
The funds that are in excess, the first 50,000 of surplus goes into the capital fund, is that correct?
The way the bankruptcy plan is written is the 50 grand, the first 50 grand or 50 grand of the surplus goes in the unassigned or the operating budget can be used. The people that wrote that section really didn't know auditing and accounting. We really don't know what that number is until after the fiscal year is done. So in the audit, it's in the unassigned bucket. 50 grand a year for the 4 years, that's why there's 250 grand in the unassigned bucket. It's actually page 13 of the audit. The remaining goes into capital improvement, I'm sorry.
So, isn't it possible that after June 30th of this year, that any remaining funds, even if it's not here, will go into the operating surplus, which is the normal accounting process?
It would be defined as a surplus and it would have to be put in the fund. So it's unassigned, capital improvement.
It automatically, according to accounting purposes, will go into the operating surplus.
You got a question?
Yes. So this is just,
Again, it's just a bucket, as Councilman Costa said, it's an account, so it needs to be created and edited. So the amount of money that's there can be put in there as an rainy day fund and an equipment fund. Never to be spent unless you guys approve it, as always.
At this point, we're looking for approval of the ordinance creating the Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2017 as amended. Again, don't put the cops on the horse. As amended.
I think we're voting on.
No, we already
We already voted on the amendment. We
or
got
see
the
it.
amendment. Yes, pay attention, Mr. Lozere. You have to stay after class.
I know. Can I ask you a question?
Yes, absolutely.
No one submitted one yet. To the solicitor. So, the AFO just stated that we need the council vote. You need the council vote for the reserve fund, not to use the capital improvement. Correct?
Keep adding money to it.
That's correct.
Yeah, but
The current ordinance is an emergency equipment replacement reserve fund, which is limited to equipment and not capital improvements. So the difference is you couldn't do a sidewalk, you're limited to the definition of what is equipment versus capital. Like you couldn't fix a park. There's an emergency equipment reserve fund. The capital improvements that for decades were in neglect that the city's been trying to address would not be able to be fixed.
Looking for a motion. An ordinance creating the Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2017 as amended. First passage.
Motion for an ordinance creating the fiscal responsibility act of 2017 first passage.
As amended. Yep, Councilman Davis. Second. Second by actually Councilman Figueroa and Councilman Solano. Any further discussion? Roll call vote?
Councilman Perry?
Yes.
Councilman Costa?
Yes.
Councilman Figueroa?
Yes.
Councilman Fonseca?
Yes.
Councilman Medina?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera? Councilman Solano?
Yes.
Looking for a motion to adjourn. Thank you. Stand adjourned at 8:56. 57. Thank you.
Josh, can we have to, whatever's